Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, guys. How we doing
Good
on
morning.
Friday?
Good morning.
Well, that clinches it. The Clippers are winning the West because the Clippers got Rondo and you don't got Rondo.
I mean, we playing with our two of our big guns. And
Well, we got our big gun, and he had 15 and 9 assists in only 17 minutes last night. Rondo.
okay, we'll see.
There
Well,
we go.
That's it. That's it. We're done. Okay, we're going to get to that. I promise we will explain. But, guys, we need to begin the show with some new details surrounding Tiger Woods and the crash. So let me break it down for you. A 22-page collision report for Tiger Woods' crash has revealed really some frightening details. Among them, Tiger told authorities he thought he was in Florida after the crash, which occurred here in Southern California. Data from the car's black box showed that Tiger's car was going in a straight line with no steering input before the crash, and an empty pharmaceutical bottle was found at the scene with no label of what was inside. So, Shannon, what is your reaction to the latest details here?
Well, Skip, this is also continues that it's a miracle that Tiger Woods is alive, considering the rate of speed in which he was traveling, the rate of speed in which he collided with that tree. The mere fact that Tiger Woods was able to walk away with his life in and of itself is a miracle. Skip, I don't want to pile on to a man that seems to be going through an awful lot at this current time, but we got to be fair with this situation. And it makes the whomever, LAPD, the sheriff's office, whoever investigated this, did a horrible job. That's in and of itself. The mere fact that you say we found an empty prescription pill bottle with no label on it, given the history of Tiger Woods, lets you know a toxicology test should have been rendered, if not on scene, and definitely at the hospital. They failed on that aspect. And normally, Skip, look, we've all had prescriptions. Normally, prescription bottles don't come empty. Normally, prescription bottles comes with a label on it, and it tells you what to take, how much of it you should be taking, and what you're actually taking.
Good point.
The mere fact that the labels have been removed tells me something that Tiger Woods had a prescription. Either the doctor that prescribed it for him, he didn't want the doctor to be known, or he didn't want you to know what was inside the bottle that he was taking. That's in and of itself. The low blood pressure. Doesn't remember the accident, thought he was in Florida. Now, he could have been concussed. Skip, you hit a tree at 75 miles an hour? Yeah, you're probably going to be concussed. But we need to know what caused the low blood pressure. Normally, 40-plus-year-old people just don't have all of a sudden low blood pressure drop like that and cause you to do things like that.
Could have been the trauma of the crash, but
right,
go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So for me, and looking at what they said, hold on. You think Tiger Woods wanted all this information out? Because it went from Skip, we got to get his permission to release this information, to they did a 22-page extensive, which makes them look even worse considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
But for Tiger needs to sit back and do some self-reflection. Clearly, whatever transpired in 2009 that started this unfortunate chain of events, Tiger Woods has not been the same professionally or privately. I don't know what's going on in his life. Maybe that was such a burden to bear. Maybe the fact that he got revealed and he wasn't what he portrayed himself to be.
Yep.
Maybe that was more of a burden than he can bear right now. But Tiger has some issues, and I'm not sure that he's resolved those. And it's something that maybe that when he's on the golf course, he doesn't think about. But he spends more time alone in his own thoughts than he does on the golf course, where his mind has to be free in order to play the game at a very elite level. So, Skip, this report for me raises more questions than it provided answers. And somebody needs to answer. At some point in time, you know, I'm sure Tiger's not going to go through this, but I want to ask the investigative team, why didn't you do a more thorough investigation of what actually transpired? What was in that bottle? Do residue tests? Blood toxicology should have been rendered, because, like I said, Skip, this is not normal for someone to travel at this rate of speed. And, well, yeah, you know, when they say he's familiar with the area, clearly he wasn't familiar with the area. At traveling at that rate of speed, downhill, you don't brake, you think you're braking. Well, they don't know if he thought he was braking. What they said, well, maybe he was thinking he was braking, but he was hitting the accelerator. That's not normal behavior. So for me, it didn't provide answer. It just leaves me with more questions.
Okay. I told you the first time we discussed the details of this accident that there's a part of me that says he's suffering enough. Let's move on. But now we have a 22-page collision report revealing many new shocking details.
Right.
All brought to light because of the Freedom of Information Act. And USA Today said, we are going to go get that report.
I told you that was going to happen. But what? No, you can't release that. I said, bull jive. The Freedom of Information Act? Oh, they're going to get that.
They got it. And they got closer to the bottom of what happened. So some details we can't connect dots on. But there was the empty pharmaceutical bottle you referred to in his backpack. And then there are more details about, I'm just going to read from the report. Instead of staying in his lane as it curved right, he struck a curb, mowed down a wooden sign, and drove into opposing lanes before hitting a tree and rolling over in what fittingly was called Rolling Hills Estates. And after hitting the median, he traveled a distance of several hundred feet without touching his brake. And then the other, just impossibly hard to digest detail, is that in the last second before he hit the tree, he pushed down 99% on the accelerator. And by all accounts, you can not even leap. You can jump right to a conclusion and be within bounds to believe that he fell asleep at the wheel. And there have been several of there's a former police detective in Southern California, Jonathan Cherney. He just says it's a classic case of falling asleep behind the wheel.
Right.
And we had the report yesterday. He was traveling as fast as 87 miles an hour down the hill and probably hit the tree somewhere in the range of 75 miles an hour. Back to your point, I have no idea how he walked away. Thank God, I'm going to knock on wood.
With just some broken legs.
Yeah, with broken legs. And it could be a crippling injury. He could fight with this the rest of his life.
Right.
I hope not. But as we spoke of yesterday, this happened shortly after 7 a.m. Thank God he didn't head on anybody coming in the two opposite lanes of traffic.
And you know, at traveling at that rate of speed, it's fatalities on both sides.
No swerving until right at the very end. It looked like the wheel turned slightly, according to the black box. And now we ask, why wasn't he blood tested? And one of the officers on the scene said it appeared he had not been operating the motor vehicle while impaired. Well, I have no idea how you could.
You can't just look at somebody and say that, Skip.
One of the paramedics said that he had slightly sluggish eyeballs at that point. Well, I could see that.
Right.
But when interviewed shortly thereafter at the hospital as he was getting his face stitched up, he thought he was in the state of Florida, which brought to mind one of his previous incidents when he was found behind the wheel asleep.
And he was in Florida,
traffic.
thought he was in California.
Thought he was in Orange County in California. So we had the flip of that. And obviously he had a recent back surgery, so it would follow that he had prescription pain-killing medicine. And yet, in the 2017 incident, when he was found asleep at the wheel near his home in Florida, he was arrested for drunk driving, and there was a toxicology report that revealed his system had sleep medication, Ambien, as most people know, painkiller Vicodin, THC, and he checked into a clinic that year to get help for medications dealing with pain and sleep. Pleaded guilty then to reckless driving. Again, he has suffered enough, but this is no different than driving drunk to me.
Yeah.
It has that potential here that he was driving it somehow impaired, or that, you know, the whole idea that he fell asleep at the wheel at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Skip, let me ask you something.
Almost, 90 miles an hour.
Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm one of people that. Is it normal that you carry medication in your backpack? Now I understand if you have blood pressure issues and you have certain type of medical conditions. Well, obviously you want to keep your medicine on you at all times. But I don't carry medicine around in my backpack. Not aspirin, not anything.
Again, just had a back surgery. And by the way, That was his 6th back surgery that he just had.
Right.
And the 5th back surgery was a spinal fusion surgery.
Right.
And as you well know, that's some serious business.
But Skip, they have on the pain medication. Do not operate a motor vehicle if you
definitely.
ingest this medicine.
Absolutely. So there should be some predictable outrage that he was operating this vehicle. And that somehow he was going almost 90 miles an hour down the hill and hit a tree going 75 and never touched the brake. Okay, so after I read this morning, I sat back and reflected on this man's career. And I've told you, I've known a lot of football players, including you, many, many players who played long, full careers. And not one of them suffered as many injuries as this man has suffered. And he is a golfer. But it started in 2002 when he tore his ACL. And according to Hank Haney, his coach at the time, he was on maneuvers because he wanted to become a Navy SEAL and follow in his father's military footsteps. His father fought in Vietnam, Earl Woods. And on maneuvers, going through, you know, the shootout in the dark building, he tore his ACL, according to Hank Haney. Well, this is a man who, remember, before he even won his first Masters, Jack Nicklaus, who has 18 majors right now to Tiger's 15, predicted that Tiger would win more Masters than Arnold Palmer and I